All right, a very good morning to everyone present here. I believe that we have a few directors of the divisions in the Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education among our guests today. We also have the deputy directors of the divisions in DPCCE. We have Mr. Daniel Shen Jianzhong, Director, Soccer Private Limited, Singapore. We have lecturers from polytechnics and community colleges. We also have together with us participants of the Social Mobile Integrated Learning Environment SMiLE workshop series. And we also have the presenters who will be presenting their best practice of using social media integrated learning environment pedagogy using soccer. Very good morning to all of you. We are glad you're able to attend our sharing session today. We kindly and humbly request that you mute your microphone during our meeting to minimize any background noise. The meeting will be recorded and is also being streamed live on YouTube. And there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentations. All right. So now we have read the latest research saying that, the top one of the top 5 strategies in higher ed is the incorporation of mobile devices in teaching and learning. Yeah. Now, mobile learning has gained an increasing interest around the globe, especially in the days of COVID-19. There is this need to enrich this way of education. Now, responding to the pandemic, I believe that the integration of social mobile learning will eventually become an integral component of TVET education. Now, the question is, could this move be a more effective method of educating our students? So that's why we are here for this sharing session. And we're going to get the perspective from people from Hong Kong, speakers from Hong Kong, Vietnam, Indonesia. Yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this session to Daniel. So Daniel, you may want to before we go further, I'd just like to share with you all for the benefit of the speakers who joined us today. Yesterday, we signed the agreed minutes of meeting between the Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education and Soccer Private Limited. We have 6 areas of cooperation and collaboration, especially in terms of research, in terms of training. And this is our Director General, T.S. Zainab binti Ahmad. And this is Daniel here. So this is it was a historic moment for all of us at the Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education, as this was the first virtual AMM signing ever. All right, so a huge thank you to everyone who made it possible. The Instructional and Digital Learning Division, the IPD, the Industry and Community Collaboration Division, BKIK, and TVET Coordination Division, BKTVET, and also the technical team behind it, our ICT team, and the technical team at the Instructional and Digital Learning Division. I believe I've not introduced myself formally. I'm Dr. Umawati Tachnamurthy, Senior Assistant Director from the Instructional and Digital Learning Division, Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education under the Ministry of Higher Education of Malaysia. The international collaboration in terms of exchanging experiences related to implementing training programs, as well as conducting studies and consultations between Soccer Private Limited Singapore and the department is timely. I'm very pleased to announce that yesterday we witnessed the virtual signing of the agreed minutes of meeting. All right. So today is a very special day. We're going to have 9 speakers to share your experiences. So for the benefit of our speakers, we have a soccer proof of concept has been evaluated in 5 colleges in the country, and students have found it beneficial by observing content from others. Daniel shared how there was a 5.5% of improvement in speaking for every 10 minutes of peer-to-peer viewing. Of course, this is not a single effort. It is actually a joint effort between College Community Selayang. We have Cik Wan Shukriah binti Wan Muhammad, who's also one of the speakers for today. We also have Puan Zuliana binti Zulkifli Chandra from College Community Klang. We also another pioneer would be Puan Farah Zahida and she's from College Community Bukit Beruang, Malacca. And we also have Shasha from College Community Kot Lanas. And finally, we have Ashraf from College Community Rauk. Yeah, so this is after we have piloted at 5 community colleges, this year we are piloting at 14 more community colleges. And today is the second day. So this sharing session is actually part of the workshop series, right? Where lecturers will be actually learning how to create and design social mobile learning activities. So I guess that's all I have to say. I will actually pass this to Daniel. Daniel, you may want to share. You may want to start off, yeah, and give us some briefing.
Okay, I can see your WhatsApp. You can change. Can you give me screen share as well? No problem.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you give me screen share just in case? Because Kelly needs to be able to share her screen in a bit. So just wanted to let everybody know today is a Miro board. Oh, anyways, yes, I'm Daniel. I'm from Sokol. And that's about it. So, so I have shared a Miro board on the chat. So that will be where the audience yourselves will be able to access 2 boards. So I'm gonna actually, I'll share my screen. So there's 2 boards over here, one on the right side, one on the left. The one on the right is where you can ask questions. So the way that you can position a question, or rather type in a question, is to put in if there's a specific person you want to ask a question to. So for example, if you want to ask Kelly something, key in to Kelly and then answer question. And then if you would like, put your name and your email address down, just in case we don't answer your question on this event, we can email you back. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. So everything here is just purely optional. And on the left side is something more interactive. We wanted you opportunity to share what you think, how it was used, why it was used, what did the users find, and what you think were or are the next steps that the speakers or the speakers have, the other lecturers have. So feel free to put whatever you feel that you see in there, and then maybe we will also learn from what you think is a good benefit that you saw. So that will be kind of a background of the setup and the structure of the interactiveness of this event. So besides that, we also have YouTube. So for people on YouTube, watching on YouTube, feel free to ask your questions on the chat, and I think we can start. So the first speaker will be Kelly. So Kelly is a Chinese literature lecturer, more than 7 years of experience teaching Chinese and working as a Chinese subject coordinator at Binus University, Indonesia. She's an expert in Chinese literacy, including words pronunciation and grammatical structures. So in this presentation, she will share about her latest usage of Sokol, as well as how she gets an 8% improvement in Chinese language learning. This is for a 30-minute average views on her students in Indonesia as a result of the peer-to-peer video views. So Kelly, would you like to try and screen share and then see whether you can go ahead?
I still cannot share my screen.
Oh, okay. I'll do it so you can start from there. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly, Chinese department lecturer from Binus University, Jakarta. Our research is about an alternative asynchronous learning method for second language practice with social learning. Next, please. Next.
1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
And the key problems of our research is technology limitation reduces ability to practice second language. And the second, as speech production and perception is dependent on having opportunities to speak and listen disruption, such as schools closure and screen overuse causes problem for learning Chinese language. And our framework is creating engagement and allowing for students to see content for others to reflect. And we are using formative assessment. Next. Okay, previous engagement can be done in the class. It is more difficult to do it online. So we need an offline method to let student and teacher communicate together. And before, my duration for presentation was 300 minutes. But since we have online class only have 150. We need to replicating replicating classroom engagement. In the class, peer-to-peer is form. Actually, we also can peer-to-peer in Zoom through backup room. But because of time constraint, it is more difficult to do. So I hope through asynchronous video-based mobile learning, students can watch and listen to other students' videos content. So students can increase their experience and have opportunities to reflect. Next. Okay, our method we adopt this method is a focus group and quantitative. In the past one, I let students to talk their experience on learning Chinese. And second, I let to create a sentence with a Chinese structure. And I also let them to give example of cooking recipe. So when they are cooking, they should explain that in Chinese. And the past two, I let students to talk about their hobbies and talk about their room. And the last topic is a free topic, so they can choose what they want to talk. Okay, next. Okay, on focus group, we can know that students find the format inspiring and motivating. They said, if I haven't met a video, the videos of our friend can inspire me. At first, I didn't know what to say in the video. And after I've seen the videos from others, I can find that I can say something like what the others say too. When the ideas get combined, it gives me a new inspiration. And they also said the method can help motivate me. So if I see good videos from others, I definitely want it. If the quality of another person's video is high and my quality is lower, I definitely will want to increase it. Okay, next. From a focus group, we also can know that students find the format method more comfortable and relaxing to practice. And they said the process of making the video is the first, the dim, and then the script. If we have more time, we memorize it so that the video is better. So there is not like we are reading a script on video. After the script is finished, we will record and do video editing, such as adding subtitles. And they also say it's more difficult to present in front of the class because of the pressure. If we do a video, we are at home and we are relaxed. If there are a lot of people watching in front of the class, it's impossible to put the script in front of us. If it's recorded at home, the script can be behind the camera. Okay, next. And the quantitative based on rating for attributes vocabulary, sentences, pronunciation, and their effort. And average is 33.9 minutes of video views per student. And student improved by 0.067 points per minute. And student improved is 7.9%. Okay, this one. And next. Okay, from our research, we can know that a better clarity of assignment. Students mentioned that they were able to have a better understanding of the expectation of the assignment based on the content of their peers. Therefore, we opine that students were able to better understand assignment goals. And from this, they are a safe to practice environment. Students mentioned the ability to increase the amount of practice in their home environment so that asynchronous video-based mobile learning format is suitable for creating a safe and comfortable learning environment. Additionally, the Sokol app is a private code-protected mobile app that encourages students to practice in a safe environment. Next. Okay, thank you everyone.
Right. Thank you, Kelly. So I realized that your students seem to really feel motivated. It has actually increased their motivation, especially in class. And also, it's nice to see that students are inspiring one another. Yeah, so it's quite empowering when they actually learn from each other. I have a question, a very quick question, before we go to the next presenter. What would your tips be for lecturers who are planning to use soccer, in the coming weeks? Maybe just a two-liner.
Oh, okay. I think the lecturer can use a Sokal to give a assignment, because if we do assignment like post on the forum, it's boring. So they need to post a videos so the student can be more creative on making video.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you.
So there'll be questions at the end. So I think now we can call upon Adarina. Thank you so much, Kelly. We'll call upon Adarina.
I haven't unmuted myself here. All right, so okay. I haven't been using WebEx, so can all of you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. It's all good. Thanks, Ade.
All right. Okay, so hi everybody. I'm Adelina. I'm from Indonesia, from Prastia Mulia University. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about using Sokal to improve Ielts speaking skills. So I'm here in Prastia Mulia. I'm teaching Ielts, meaning that I'm teaching for I'm training them for the test itself. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm going to talk about what IELTS speaking skill, what is my goal, and then how I've used Sokal to practice, and then student perception towards the video practice itself. Okay, so IELTS speaking skill, as everybody knows, it's all about what is the goal of teaching speaking skill in IELTS. Of course, fluency and coherence, lexical resource, which is vocabularies, grammar range, and accuracy and pronunciation. Those are the criteria of IELTS speaking. There are a lot for, I do have difficulty when I have a 30 plus students in class. There are three most difficult things that I mentioned here is difficulty in monitoring the practice. Okay, so every practice should be monitored, but it is quite difficult for me to monitor 30 plus something student in one time. Okay, and then difficulty in keeping record of student tasks. So I don't know how to keep, because it's speaking sometimes it is done face to face. And difficulty in giving feedback, because there are no records. It's quite difficult to give feedback at the end of the course itself. So for those reasons, so I created a task using Sokal. Okay, 30 plus something student is quite a lot in one class, with the goal of those criteria, the criteria given by IELTS, and the many things that have to be done. So I use IELTS. I use it in two ways. The first one is the first thing that I used before was the STAR system, which is I give need practice, fair, good, very good, excellent. This one I will give at the beginning of the course itself, because it is just to make them engage with the activity. Okay, to make them engage the activity, and is it difficult, or is it to get them used to using the app itself. And of course, they also can give feedback to their friends. So this is a thing: prepare, record, upload, and see other videos are all the goals of this practice. And of course, I will give them questions as what is given, like describe a time you did something important, and then they have to give and use tags. And then of course, you can see here the stars are given by me and their friends. So this is to let them engage for the first time with Sokal, so they can actually just give their friend 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. But of course, in giving the stars, I also give criteria. What are the 3 stars? What are the 2 stars? And what are the 4 stars, etc. And then that's a star system. Oh, sorry. Well, okay. And then of course the second one is comments. After they get used to the circle itself, I gave them a task using comments. This time, it's more difficult. Okay, students were given a cue card, same as the one before. They created a video based on the cue card again, and then they uploaded the video to Circle. And then after that, rather than me giving a feedback, they gave their friends video comments based on a set of questions. So I specifically make a rubric based on Ielts criteria and public version criteria, and let them use those questions to give comments to their friends. Okay, so after around 10 students giving comment to one student, then student has to give their reflection on based on what their friends comments. So they will say that, oh, I know that I have to do this and this. Okay, so and then of course, what I want them to do after they use the suggestion that their friends give for their next video. Okay, so the feedback that their friend gave, all those words, all those comments, they have to use it. They have to then do it again. They will have to keep that in mind when they do another project or another task. Okay, so these are the questions I give, all based on criteria of IELTS itself, because my goals are speaking IELTS, so I have to use the rubric that is given by IELTS. And then fluency, vocabulary, grammar. So these are the questions.
Adi, can you put you
Yes.
put it on full screen?
Full screen, okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's a bit tiny. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, is it
Thank you,
okay?
Adi. Yeah, better. Thank you, Adi.
Okay, so I gave questions to the students, fluency and coherence, vocabulary, grammar. So what are the questions? So they will be giving comments based on the question that I gave. Example here, my student was very nice, but make sure you use past tense consistently and you are talking about something that was in the past. You sounded confident in delivering it, but there are only little and so because I need that, because some fluency in IELTS fluency like is counted as a problem in fluency. Pausing is that. Also, there's a good coherence using variety of conjunction. I will tell them what conjunction are before. So however, the grammar is inconsistent, namely using present tense when telling something that happened in the past. Okay, so fluent and quite natural. However, I think I could improve it, your grammar. So those are the things that I asked them to do. Okay, so this is what the questions are, and this is what come out from the student side. So the goal of this practice from the beginning to the end is I use a task and a rubric, and I let them do peer feedback, and then students have to give reflection. Actually, I want them to become independent learners. So they have to be what we call responsible for their own learning. So they know what is wrong with their speaking task. So they have to do it themselves, because I would not be able to be there all the time. And with 30-something students, sometimes I miss one or two. So I really need this peer feedback and student reflection to make them independent learners. Okay, student perception. So at the end of the stars, I gave them questions as also for my own reflection, for my own feedbacks. So they said to me that, okay, so was it easy or difficult when giving feedback? They say, okay, I use it in Indonesian, so there is sulit, difficult, and tidak sulit. So that's what's more. So they said that it's easy to, it's not difficult to give a feedback about fluency, but it's quite difficult when giving feedback about grammar. Okay, pronunciation and fluency are the things that they consider not difficult. But then grammar and vocab or flow of ideas, especially grammar, they find it difficult to give feedback. And then at the end also, they give comments. I give them a question, what do they like about your friend's comment? I say, it can help me with my next speaking task as a good way to improve my speaking skill. They said that the way my friend appreciate my effort in making videos, as well as the advice give. This is straight, I copy it straight from the student's answer. Yeah? So forgive me if the grammar is quite it's not really good. The way my friend appreciate my effort in making video as well as the advice given can help me improve my speaking skill. Feedback given based on the result of the video can be used as learning experience. So they say learning experience and motivation. So actually it is also motivation because we are blind to our own blindness. I don't know how they could get this quote. Okay, therefore feedback is a good method that I think can develop my speaking skills. So these are actually the students comment after I give them a 1 semester of speaking tasks, half semester of speaking tasks using SMiLe. And I think that is it for me. Okay, so that is my experience in using SMiLe as a way of teaching speaking skill, to improving speaking skill of Ielts. Okay.
Adi, thank you
so
for
much.
sharing. Yeah, Adi, just a quick question. How many activities do you do in a week?
For me, because I only have once a week with the students, usually I only have once a week or twice, once in 2 weeks.
All right. And so let's say you give the assignment today. How long does it take for them to actually complete it?
A week.
A week. All right. All right. So there's a question in the chat. How do you and when you first introduced SMiLe to your students, what was their reaction like?
The first time was difficult because the apps, how to download it. But then after a while, they get used to it and it's okay for them. It is a class, it is closed class, so they know that other people will not see their videos. I think
So
that's
does
matter
that-
to them.
Yeah, having a closed environment. So does that makes it more comfortable for them to share? More willing
Yes.
for them to share, yeah, so they don't feel so intimidated. So I think that's something that even Kelly mentioned just now, that they are not speaking in front of the whole class and they can practice many times. So I can see there's a pattern here in agreement. All right, thank you, Ade. So we'll have more questions later. Our next presenter would be a pioneer, soccer pioneer here in Malaysia. Let me just pass let's see, let's just make her a presenter. Just give me a minute, Shuki. All right. So we have Wan Shukriya binti Wan Muhammad from College Community Selayang, and she's been using, this is the 3rd semester using SMiLe. So Shuki, are you able to share now?
Boleh lah.
Yes, okay, great. Then please put it in full screen. So Shuki, over to you.
Hari tu Kinam semua nak semayang. Tapi semayang. Lepas tu ada orang call.
I think Azrin need to mute herself.
Is it screen now?
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah.
I think I hear some noise at the back. Alright, okay, anyway. Right, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Shukriya Layang. And as mentioned by Dr. Umar, yes, me and Farah, another colleague actually from Myanmar, were the pioneers of.
Ada telefon kita, tanya tu maksud dia tak ada orang lah. Dia nak
1 second. Azrin, can you mute yourself? Uma, you're on mute Uma, you're on mute.
Yes, I'm on mute, sorry. But I kindly request everyone to mute yourself, especially when presentations are being done.
I can mute them, right?
Over to you,
Doc-
Shruti. Yes, I'll be able, yeah. All right, over to you, Shruti.
I tried it. Right, okay. So basically today I'm going to share my doing soccer. Okay, and I'm going to share you about the what soccer can do. Okay, what my alternative is this is my second app that we use for the video. And based on the data research done for community colleges, as mentioned by the now, that we have the 5.5% of speaking.
I cannot hear anything. We have to mute Hasrin. We have
Hasrin,
to
can
mute
you
Hasrin.
please mute yourself? Shuki, can I request you to speak a bit louder, Shuki?
All right. Okay. Okay. So I've been teaching online, 100% online for the bit in 2008. Which is started, and I'm using Google Classroom platform as my learning management system. And on average, I have 50 students per classes and software. I'm using it for my workplace English classes.
Shuki, I'm so sorry, Shuki, but we've been receiving some messages, but really they are not able to hear you clearly, Shuki. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay.
Better.
Okay. Now, how do I implement soccer in my classroom? I on the first day of the class, meeting my students through the video conferencing, Google Meet. I told my students that we are going to use skill apps, right? And we are going to use soccer. And this is also first time meeting my students, okay, because I usually met them for workplace English in semester 2 and semester 3. So there will be few communication channels such as Telegram and Soccer. So Soccer is one of the communication channels that I'm going to use with my students last semester and this semester. And I told them that feel free to be comfortable because they are going to give their ideas, their opinions, and giving comments on their friends' posts. And the most important thing is I do remind my students that they need to respect each other, right? When you are commenting on someone's post, the most important thing is respect. Okay, and another thing is soccer is going to be our social presence for learning environment beside the physical classroom. I told them it's going to be our social space, especially when we are going to give our discussions, our comments, and at the same time, I'm going to give my personal feedback, and they also need to comment on their fan class. All right. Okay. So, what are the challenges?
Shuki,
What
I'm
are the
sorry.
challenges?
Can you speak a bit louder and a bit slower?
Okay. So, what
Louder
uh,
and slower. Okay.
what are the challenges that we face? Okay, basically these are the challenges that I assume that everyone is facing during the pandemic. First one, we feel disconnected from other students and also the teachers. We miss our face-to-face class, right? And we're missing our impromptu feedback comments during the sessions of the learning. And when we talk about online learning, sometimes the class can be monotonous and it also can be a routine. And it will basically slow down the learning phase or learning process. And with Focal, actually, with Focal, we can encounter this one, right? And I believe so too. Okay, so why I'm interested in using Focal? When Dr. Uma and Daniel approached me to try this app, I'm interested to try this app because for me, Soccer can increase online engagement and manage feedback easily as compared before, I'm using YouTube. So it's easy, it's difficult for me to have a online engagement. I mean, to have a synchronized feedback from comments from my students and to have one platform that we can manage feedback. Tottle is the one. Okay, in terms of the use of Tottle, based on my students' responses, they said that it's easy and it's simple to navigate. None of my students last semester and this semester have problems using Tottle because they said that Tottle basically is just almost similar to TikTok. The difference between Tottle and TikTok is they have to unlock the tag that are given to them, right? Like the TikTok is just whatever that they can share with the and another thing is Hopper is a closed app so that they know that they are sharing their videos on their friends. Those who have shared the text, then they can view the text easily. Right. Okay, in some of the usefulness. Now, from my experience, I believe that Hopper is a good tool for peer-to-peer learning and it also can encourage the students. So how do we know that our students are engaged? Based on our recent research with few colleges in community colleges in Malaysia, our students actually watch and we watch their peers video, and when we ask them to like it and give comments on their friends' video, actually they try to create more interesting videos to engage others. Based on the research of 10 minutes of videos reviewed by students is an independent rater evaluated by rating them in accordance to the rate of depth, fluency, and accuracy. So a simple linear regression was used to predict video scores based on the time span watching videos submitted by. So with a mean of 10 minutes, it can be said that participants or the community college students increase in performance of 5.5% improvement of speaking for every 10 minutes of years this year. Right, so I'm sharing you what are the activities that I'm doing with my students since last semester. The first one is the first approach is always going to be one self-introduction, where I need to know my students. The other classmates also need to know their friends too. So I ask my students to record a video of themselves and introduce themselves to the circle. Just focus on one point. What are the most important things that they want to let their friends know, right? And the other friends are going to give the comments on their posts. So from these activities, from the one self-introductions, actually this is my time and my test to see whether my students are able to use software or not. Whether they have any problems on post the video and giving commenting on like it. So from the first activity last semester and this semester, none of them come back to me that I have problem with my software, except that some of them have difficulties in uploading the video due to the internet connection. All right. Okay. So another thing that we can do with Hopper is the peer or group feedback. So I'm showing you 3 activities for peer feedback for tonight and 1 activity for group feedback. So under the topic of inquiries for my module, I asked my students to upload the pictures, and then we need to get the other students, the classmates, need to get the information by asking the questions of language skills that they have learned. Right, so as you can see here, one of the students of the group of 9, the question there is they can define this sparing 9 to the inquiry. The comment part is I'm expecting my students to use the questions based on the inquiry. Okay, like for example, WH question, the model question, in order to get it. The activities, number 2, the activities that I'm doing with my students, also see here feedback within the classmates, using themselves, is inquiries on the holiday package. We use it to do some research, and they are going to justify what are the choices that they have and they choose that holiday package. And based on the video, the other friends of the classmate need to come up to acquire more questions in the holiday. All right, so the last one will be on the topic ideas and opinions. Students need to express their opinions. This is what happened last semester. We do have series of lockdown, movement control order. The MCO means movement control order in the region. So I need to know what my students' feelings that currently at the moment, because we are staying far from each other. So instead of expressing their ideas and opinions, this assignment at that time will become comforting each other actually, and it's good when they keep replying and giving comments. Certain friends where they know that some of their friends are staying in the relationship. Okay, and the last one is, remember I spoke about a group feedback comment. So the 3 activities that I've done with my students, that is between their classmates. But this one is I choose one of the teachers and I share with the 4 classes. So it means that not necessarily they can exchange their ideas and the classmate, and they still can do it with the other classes. So same module, same basically CLO that they are going to learn, but basically this time around, I combine the 4 classes together so that they can exchange their comments based on the scenario given in the pictures. All right, okay.
We lost Cannot hear you, Suki. We lost you. It was.
Tricky, we can't hear you. Sorry. Just now we heard you super clear for a while. I think you moved something accidentally, maybe.
We were happy for 5 seconds.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear
that's
me
good,
now?
that's
All
good.
right, okay. All right, okay. So next one. Oh, okay. I have a lot of hiccup today. Okay, so give a clear, in-depth, and timely teacher feedback. I believe that this is important because beside receiving or listen to the students' comment, as a teacher, I also need to interact with my students within the circles. And the good things about soccer is we have two ways of giving a feedback to our students. I can give the feedback through the comments. Through the activities, and also I can give a private feedback to my students, one-to-one to my students, without giving the overall feedback at the comments sections or comment activities. All right. Okay. So as a TVET institutions, technical and vocational education training, I believe that we need to make our task meaningful and challenging so that our task will be less monotonous and routine in order to achieve more learning time-wise. So in order to incorporate hands-on learning, we need to give a task to the students so that they can have extra preparations, which is going to require thinkings and showing evidence in order to complete the task. So soccer is one good apps that where we can ask the students to do the task and they can learn from each other actually through watching their friends' video. So under the topic 4, process and procedure, this is what I've done with my students last semester and this semester. So they are going to perform a familiar process and procedures. They're going to create a video on a process or procedure in sequence, step by step. They're going to show it, and students are supposed to comment it on the process, whether they have the other way arounds to complete the task. Is it the best process to do it, or any suggestions to the friends or to the others. All right. So basically, that is the activities that I've done with my students last semester and this semester. And this is the most important thing that I said why I like and okay, I love soccer so much. Okay, this is because I can gather all my videos in one dashboard. Okay, I can gather all my videos in one dashboard. Imagine that a few years back, I've been using YouTube where I need to paste the link into the Google Classroom, and then when we want to talk about the previous seniors video, I need to click link by link. And with soccer last semester, I don't have to do it this semester, where I just share the screen and I just click the video that I want to share with the current students. So it's easier for me, and at the same time, I can just select whatever tag that I have been sharing with my student. So having this dashboard in soccer is very convenient enough for me, so that I don't have to double, triple click or searching for the other links, so that I can use it for my next classes and also the other classes. All right. Okay. So basically, that's it. The sharing from me. I really hope that you get some ideas on how to use soccer. Thank you very much.
Shruti, thank you for sharing. Okay, so now we have listened to 3 presentations. Can I just get the audience before we go to the 4th presenter, which is Associate Professor Paulina Wong? All right. Can I just have one word your main takeaway from these 3 sessions? I just want to get some response from the audience. Okay, so
Let me go first,
minutes.
Dr. Umar.
Yes,
Let
sorry.
me go first. Very interesting, very innovative way of
Dr.
teaching.
Shini, you're in.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I want to know more about soccer. I mean, very interesting. Well, Shakira, it's a very good experience that you have. You are using it for the 3rd semester, is it? That's what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yes, and I'm quite happy using it, and I'm planning to use it for the next semester.
Let me be one of your students learning English after this. Thank you. Very good. Very interesting. Yeah, for me personally. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shidi. So Dr. Shidi is actually a very in a very senior position, and he's also actually the first a trivia here. He's actually the first director of College Community Selayang, and where Shuki has been working there for 18 years, right, since 2003. All right.
Yeah,
So
Supriya reported to me in 2001, I think, if I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. My Dr. Rashidi is my first boss, my first director.
Right, right. So this is a wonderful moment, right? Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a few feedback here in the chat. So I've heard some people really want to try. Yeah, I think we have some buy-in here. A few people want to try out soccer. Interesting and on. Okay, so right. I'll thank you guys for the feedback. So I will without further ado, let me just share the let me just let Associate Professor Dr. Paulina Wong from Lingnan University, Hong Kong. She'll be sharing. Have I made you a presenter yet? Let me just check.
Yep.
Have I made you a presenter? Wait, just give me a minute, yeah? All right. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
To the presenter privileges. So Associate Professor Dr. Paulina Wong will be sharing on how she has used SOCL for sustainable development. Her current research interests concern environmental impact assessments, urban sensing, mobile geospatial technologies, environmental consciousness, education for sustainability, and smart city development. That's interesting. So Associate Professor Paulina Wong, over to you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Good morning, everyone. So, today my project is well, very nice introduction about and so my course here. Oh, sorry. This is actually generated from a teaching grant in the university, so it's very nice. Our university were giving out money to us, trying out new stuff, and that's why we managed to get interact with Daniel at the beginning. So yeah, and then afterwards we now started to produce a paper that is now in submission. So any comments or anything, feel free to let us know more later on. So anyway, the courses that I'm teaching is called climate change and so in the course well, the courses at the general education level. So basically, all the students coming into the university for the first year, they will enter this course and they can choose to take this course. So basically, the students are still quite new getting into the university. So for the classes that I'm delivering, it has to be really interesting. And most importantly, you might notice I'm actually in a unit called science unit. But in our university in Ninglan, we are actually on a liberal arts setting. So it's more like an art university, history. Students are coming from social science and arts and so forth. So there's not much about science or anything. So we have to be really interactive, exciting, and things to keep them happy, basically. So I won't get any complaint from other students. So in my courses, there will be usually there will be an activity like you can see all the students are sitting in the ground. They were doing interactive activities and things, and this is where they were doing as the waste audit. So like all the students will be bringing their waste and recycling and stuff. So unfortunately, due to COVID, all of these events have to be cancelled. All of them have to stay home. So, and that actually keeps me in a big trouble at that time with the big component of my final project in my courses. I couldn't be able to deliver out. And that's exactly where Daniel were in at that moment. Is like they come to our university for a presentation. And I thought, okay, there might be a new way out for me to figure out like how can I replace my interactive activities into something. We are still trying to retain the interactive learning, and then also they can manage to sort of peer-to-peer learning with the other peers at that time. So yeah, so this is where I started so I actually have a big thumbs up in here to keep Daniel excited, right? So in this course is what I am designing at the end is like, well, because usually they all comes in one place and then they can interact with each other. So now to start with this new I call it like two phases. So the first phases is a discovery task where they will have to like discover their own waste practice. So I will ask them to do a video on their waste audit, and then so they will be asked to do 2 times, and then I will ask them to do like comments and things. But I will come back to it a bit more later on about the comments part, because I think it's a learning curve for me as well. So at the beginning, I was like, well, okay, go ahead and do 2 videos, and then we'll come back for some final project, a bit more discussions and project, and then so this is what I've tried to give them to guide them. Because what happens is, well, when they first asked to do waste audit, they had no idea what is a waste audit either. What to do? We all know it's like, okay, you have to look at your waste for 1 week, but what is exactly doing? And then so I end up with getting help with the NGOs, and then inviting a founder in to do a video. So he is the first one that do a video demonstrating what is a waste audit. And then I've given them a table trying to break down like what are the items that they should look at. So I think in the middle of the videos, it's like I have to give them ideas about like what to shoot, or because they were a bit panicked at the beginning. It's like, okay, well, for a 5 minutes video, do I have to? Well, I had a lot of silly questions. It's like, Paulina, do I have to speak in the video, or I only need to shoot the rubbish or the recyclables or whatever? So I'm trying to give them guidelines like what to include in the video. But of course, the first one that turns out is a bit disaster. So like some of them, they only show their video, show their recyclables and stuff, and then so but overall, I think in the as Kelly have said, well, this is a P2P learning. So I think there's turned out to be 1 or 2 students like really smart. They might be good at video editing software and stuff. So they end up with really brilliant video with like background music and things, and really interesting and active. And then so at that time, I feel that, well, because the first video was a bit disaster at the time, but I can see that in the second video, by the time of the second video, most of them, I think more than half of them, the performance is totally increased. It's like most of them that had a background music, and then they had like fancy animations and things included. So in this video, in this learning platform in here, the strategy that they had is like I forced them to make comments. And then so in that case, they need to actually look at all the other people's, like students' video, in order to make comments and then interact with the others. So at the beginning, well, again, on the first video, I found that the comments were not, well, they were like thumbs up, very nice video, that's all. Or like another icon you can see is just like a smiling icon. This is good, but then I think I had a discussion with Daniel. It's like, what can I do with like encouraging others to make more comments, or I actually checked with a couple of students as well. It's like, okay, Paulina, I don't really know what comments you want me to make, because at the beginning I thought, well, okay, making comments is like a general thing, and then it should be something that reflects from the video or something. But end up I thought, well, maybe I should give them a bit more instructions, like what should give, like for example, the storyline or the video style, or any practices in the video were not appropriate or whatever. For example, some of them we put the wrong recyclables in the wrong recycling bin. So perhaps I could give them a bit more ideas about like what can be comment and what could be included in the comments. And in the second video, it is actually much better. So the comments is like throughout. And so in here, I pretty appreciate for the platform as well, as like they allowed me to do, and the teacher side, they support me, as Suki have said, as the first thing, all the videos all in one dashboard. This is the most important thing. And then I remember I can do like sorting like by students. So in that case, I can easily do markings. I can see like who are the students that didn't submit video, like who are the students that only had 1 or 2 videos, when they line up with, and then I can see some of the students, they've done like 8 or 9 videos, which will definitely get a bonus mark on that. So yeah, with the ratings and feedbacks that I can give to students, and also within students, they can do peer evaluation. I think this is pretty helpful. And then also I think I actually asked Daniel about, it's like, can I see how many minutes? Because I asked them to read watch videos, but I couldn't check some of them they might be able to make like smart comments, whatever. So I actually asked Daniel, can I actually see each of the students or each of the videos, how long were being watched? So in that case, I can sort of like in a numerical value, I can compare the students, like who are the hardworking ones. But of course, there's a couple of tricky things come up with the sets afterwards. But overall, I think in my findings in here that we included in the paper as well, as like, so there's a couple of steps that is generated or coming out from SMiLe. Actually is like they first promoted the self-assessment. So it's like what Kelly and Suki have also mentioned about. It's like they first thing they can allow themselves to actually peer evaluate themselves, and then afterwards, once they understand each other's performance, they can generate new ideas. So like at the beginning, I thought, well, okay, well, making comments is something should be quite general, but afterwards I think I am actually having my self-assessment as well. It's like, so afterwards I able to give them more instructions. So that's the step 2 where we found that idea generations is what is coming up afterward. And then of course afterwards it allows more innovation, more creativity to be inputted into. This is reflected in some of the students as well, as like they try to improve themselves, they enhance, or might be that relates to their technical background as well. So some of them they start to use like really fancy animations, and they even included something not as necessary. So there's one student that actually melted the plastic bag. So there's one type of plastic bag that you can melt it into water and flush away. So he actually did another video trying to showcase he found this technology. So yeah, overall, collective intelligence is what we aimed for in this paper in here. So in the focus group, we've done the focus group in here for about 8 to 10 students, and then these are some of the comments that I copy and paste from one of the comments from some of the comments in here. So it started with self-reflection from the first video that I've mentioned before. For the first video, it was quite a disaster. Well, not really disasters in terms of, but it's just like a plain video, no narrations or no. Well, yeah, it's just a general video. But the second one is all like bling bling animations and things. So yeah, I can see the improvement in there, and also participant B is like, well, and able to enhance your creativity depending on your assignments. So I think this is how they actually reflected. They have learned it a lot from the students within each other. So even though they were all at home or in different countries, in different places, they managed to read each other's videos and learn from each other's practice. So, and here we're trying to incorporate a statistical testing as well. So thank you, Daniel, for helping me with all this processing in here. So yeah, this is what I highlighted in here is quite exciting that we got a overall increase of 12.8% for, so this is related to the time that we found it. So we managed to extract all the time that the students involved in watching the videos and generated, well, with students, so we were ranked it up like top 10 compared with the bottom 10, and then so we can see the improvement overall is more than 10%. So hopefully we will keep this up, and then we'll see how it goes for the other or this coming semester as well. So overall, as I've said, well, after the self-assessment, they managed to support like idea generations in here with the help of the other participants, for example, like the NGO founders and also from the peers. So and the second video, more comments were made by each other students because they now know that, okay, I should pay attention, for example, to the practice of the students in the video. Did they put it in the wrong place? Did they do the clean recycling correctly? Did they take off all the labels or whatever? So in that case, they allow well, I can found that there's more communications between the comments as well. So some of the students, they will reply to the comments and things. So yeah, so overall, this is what I am thinking. Well, we can retain the group sharing, retain the working as a group notions, which I have I explicitly designed it in the beginning of the courses. So overall, this is ultimately what we were trying to achieve, is like collective intelligence through the group collaboration and so even though we are all staying at home, they were all in different countries, but they would enable them to learn the recycling policies in different countries as well. So some of the people they were in their own countries, they don't even find a recycle bin in their own village, so they have to travel all the way. So these are the different things that they had, and then so they can share their knowledge and materials to each other and generating new ideas about, so they can critique about the recycling policies or land waste or waste management policies in their own city or country as well. So overall in here, it's like the initial pilot were humbly, it was quite successful, and then well, with all the help from Daniel. So this line goes to him. And then, so we were hoping there were more activities on the other side, not only the waste management, but perhaps on recycling practice or education, materials and so forth. Yeah. So yeah. I think the next one will be Gary, which will cover up the housing economics module that we were trying out in different aspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paulina. I'd like to add one point. So we can see that Paulina's case is quite good because of the 12.8%, and you can kind of analyze and see that the content and the topic is very much linked to creativity, critical thinking, problem solving. So for topics that require 21st century skills, you will get this kind of results, because when the student starts to get ideas from their friends, they will start to, oh, maybe I can try it this way, right? So the experiential learning part will come out in topics like science, sustainability, things that require creative thinking. So it's quite different from language. So you will see like language learning, sometimes we'll hit 8%. Suki's one was 5.5%. So language learning is a little bit different, a little bit harder. But if you guys have, anyone in the participants have topics related to creative thinking or have something relevant and you want them to explore, try different things like sustainability, that would be a great one. So thanks, Paulina, for sharing.
Thank you.
If it's good, if there are anyone, I think we do have to move on to Gary for the purpose of time. So you can, I think you can stop sharing, Paulina, and then we can make Gary presenter.
Sure.
How can I share the PowerPoint? The function is
Umar needs to give you the access. Yeah. Yes. Dr. Umar will give you the access. And you're on mute, Dr. Umar.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've passed you the presenter privileges, Associate Professor Gary Wong from Lingnan University, Hong Kong, and he'll be sharing how he actually uses buyer-seller roles in a simulation game to automate asynchronous engagements through social learning. In focus group discussion, it was found that students find the process authentic and meaningful. Yeah, we can't wait to hear how about your study. Go ahead, over to you, Associate Professor Gary Wong.
Thank you. So can you hear me?
Here.
All right. So I'm pleased here today to share my teaching and the experience using software for teaching for my course on housing economics. So the project title is Housing Hong Kong, a housing simulation game. And this project is also collaborated with Paulina Wong and my colleague James. I'm from Department of Economics. And in economics, using games and experiment to teach, the theory is not something new. There are actually many these kind of simulation games available online on the internet, just like these examples here. So students usually they work on a computer interface, and the platform would simulate the result based on some numbers and based on the economic theory, and students will be given on some numbers and they submit the response. The system will then simulate the result, and these games for teaching economics has its drawback because these games usually build on economic models, and you may know that models usually build on some assumptions, and in particular for economic model. So the models basically is just a simplified version of reality. So I'm not saying these games are not good for teaching. It depends on the purpose using games. So if the purpose is for students to understand a theory, okay, to test a theory, I think these platforms are perfect, but they do not provide a direct understanding of reality, because the reality not just consists of numbers. Okay, so what I'm trying to do this year for my course, Housing Economics, because housing is an important issue, I think, all over the world. And one topic is about, you know, the home search process, and also how to price housing based on different attributes. So these are the picture here, extract from my Facebook. So this is a screen cap from my Facebook, and I see, you know, when I sometimes browse on my Facebook, I see some property agent that they advertise some, you know, the house on sale in the market to find buyers. So just like this one, the property agent posts the pictures, okay, and they also provided some information like the size, how many rooms. Sorry, this in Chinese. So basically, it's some description of the units on sale, and potential buyers, they can, you know, they can give response, and also they can send message to the property agent that if they are interested in this house, they could arrange viewing, for example. So this is actually what exactly happened in reality. This is this screen cap on my Facebook, and you can see at the time when I captured the screen, my phone, the battery only with 2% left, the battery. Okay, all right. So how I use a software to design a simulation games for, you know, the home search process. So each student, okay, so at the beginning, they given some buyer's profile, all right? So the profile including the income, the saving, and also their preferences, So the profile is just like this one. So each student will be given, you know, these variables. So this is just example. So let's say for student number 1, okay, so the income 35,000 Hong Kong dollar, the saving 1 million, for example. And so these are the preferences. So the location, no preferences, how many room, the building age, the floor level, transportation, liquidity. So for example, so these are variables are some, you know, are divided into 4 progressive levels from A to D. A is the best, D is the worst. So actually for the home searching process, people not just based on their preferences, because preferences is different from choices, right? So like we prefer iPhone, for example, Apple iPhone, but at the end we may choose a Samsung because the cost consideration. So to understand the house search process, we need to understand both the preferences and also the constraint. And because in reality, buyers, they will also make the purchase with mortgage. So when students they play this game, they also have to pay attention to the mortgage lending standard. For example, the loan to value ratio, debt to income ratio, for example. All right. So buyers are given this profile, okay, independent profile, and these profiles are, you know, also shared with all students in my class, and all
Sorry,
students
Gary,
they also act as a yes.
Sorry, Gary, about 4 minutes left. Just to update.
Just 4 minutes left. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
no worries.
So students also they divided into a group as a seller, 34 students. So they try to identify the property and then recommend to buy it. So this is, you know, we rely on the software, the platform to do the game. So at the beginning, seller, they search the house available on sale based on some, you know, internet, the property agent website. So they post, you know, this on software, and then they provide caption. So based on those attributes that, you know, of the house. So they try to sell as many as house as possible. And if they the sale is if buyers successfully make a purchase, they can earn a commission, and a commission which is can be exchanged for participation score. So for buyer students, right, they view the advertising, and then they bid the house and see they do the evaluation whether the house fit the preferences and also the budget, right? And I can also provide comments when they do the bidding. All right. So after the games complete, right? So it means the transaction is completed, and there are several rounds. And after all the transaction done, students are required to submit a reflective journal, a reflective essay to share the experience, about these games, and also the reflection on housing market in Hong Kong. So what I'm looking for is whether games achieve the learning outcomes, whether the game help them to understand the house search process, how the housing attributes is pricing, and housing market in Hong Kong. And also, I want to know whether the simulation games, that students perceive these games meaningful and authentic. All right, so these are some codes that copy and paste from my students to reflective journal. So these are the learning outcome that I expected I predefined it at the beginning. And so, for example, say for the housing attributes, this is from students. Liquidity is important because people were not willing to buy something that hard to sell. So this is, direct copy and paste from my students. And also, we try to match the students, the reflective journals, whether some keywords matched some the authentic assessment categories that proposed by Farrell, that he has paper identifies 6 categories that can be matched with the learning outcomes. So for example, whether the students they're able to transform the classroom knowledge to the real life, whether the games provide students a self-reflection, right? Blah blah blah, right? So these are the assessment categories, and we have an independent rater to look at all the submitted articles, the reflective essay from students, try to match some keywords into one of these 6 categories divided by the model from the paper that from Farrell. So basically, all the reflective journals they with the keywords that can be met in the knowledge transfer and reflection, and over I think how many keywords? Let me check. I'm sorry. Okay, so 55% students they use keywords that also become cited as complex and challenging, and also about the performance. Over 30% the keywords can be measured, can be categorized in terms of the real world application. So these are some of the codes from copy and paste from students the essay, and you see these are the keywords that match these assessment category. We have 6 assessment categories, and we do the content analysis. We have a research system to do all the mapping. So these are some of the codes here. Okay, because the time constraint, that's I think all I have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Maybe I have a question I can ask you, Gary. So the very first time we tried out, so can you share an example whereby it didn't work on soccer? The very first one we tried, and then there was no engagement, no activity. So would you like to share? Would you like to share when soccer didn't work for you in the very beginning, and why? And how did we come out with this? How did
you mean this year?
No, the last time, last year before we did this, the reason why you came out with the gamification was the first time we tried soccer didn't work. Would you like to share why?
The last time I believe that the instructions were not very clear. Okay, and also I only asked students to post some information or video that related to Hong Kong housing market, and So not a very, a structured design for teaching. So I think the design, the structured instructions are very important for, using software for teaching, because this platform is new to students. And even for this year, at the beginning, students have no idea what to do. So we need to have a pre-games session to introduce students to the platform, the requirement for the games, what they have to do clearly. This is important, the pre-game session.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Dr. Gary. And feel free to stop sharing. And I think we're all happy to hear from your example, Dr. Gary. So our next speaker is Mr. Ray from Thammasat University. So Dr. Uma, if you don't mind giving Ray the presenter access. I think Gary, you're still sharing your screen.
Yes, it's Ray Wong, right? Okay, can I?
Yes.
What's his? I don't see him on.
Gary, I think you need to stop sharing first.
Okay.
Ray is RA.
Oh, I can stop. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I don't see Ray here.
I see Ray, RAY, under Raja.
Sorry, can Ray speak so that it'll be highlighted. Sorry for the delay.
You're gonna try and speak?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Yes, yeah, just give me a minute.
Let me introduce Ray. So Ray is a lecturer at the Faculty of Journalism and Mass Communication at Thammasat University. Ray has been teaching, researching media companies for the last 4 years. He studies sustainable management for media companies and how to train managers of media companies through various active learning activities and techniques. So he'll be sharing how he uses soccer to introduce social learning into a simulation of communication skills in Thammasat University. So the students report increased observational learning through both affective and cognitive skill sets. So Ray, over to you if everything is good.
Yeah. Ray, are you able to share now? I've passed you the presenter privileges already. Great. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
In full screen, please, it'll be easier. Yeah. Thank you, Ray.
Okay. Everyone can hear me? All right. So thank you all for your time. Just a little disclaimer, like I met Daniel around the beginning of April, so I'd already taught 2/3 of my class. So this whole kind of activity I'm going to talk to all of you about really only came together in about a month or kind of month and a half. So Daniel was really helpful in terms of kind of getting me onboarded, learning how to use the application, and also helping me to design some initial activities to really kind of test SoCal and how it worked for not only teaching students 21st century skills, but also in terms of helping students really kind of learn the key kind of objectives from this course. So again, my name is Ray Wong. I am a lecturer at the Thammasat University, Faculty of Mass Communication and Journalism at Thammasat University. So one of the key kind of courses that I teach focuses on sustainable development and using creative problem solving to think about how we can tackle these issues of sustainable development. So this has not been a new initiative in Thailand. So we have had an initiative called Thailand 4.0. And so there's been a big kind of emphasis on information exchange, interdisciplinary actions. There's also been a lot of emphasis from companies to help students be more prepared to take on kind of real life and real world challenges in order for them to be able to work more readily from when they graduate. So this is an especially critical topic for sustainable development. But what has kind of compounded these kind of issues is, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, in which classroom engagement has kind of become a struggle. And we're still trying to think of ways to implement an extensive and realistic experience, even though we're all limited to being online. So we've moved from kind of being synchronous to using more asynchronous methods. So we have the lecture, but also are trying to use other activities to enable students to learn more about these problems and not just learn about them in the class. So for this activity, we did a simulation of a sustainable product pitch. So this was kind of a combination simulation and role play in which the students in a creativity and communication course taught online were given the assignment of creating a product and giving themselves different roles. So there were some people who were the marketers and the presenters. There were some who did the background research behind this pitch. And then there were others who had to take all the kind of insights and edit a video to pitch the product on Sokol. So there were a couple different challenges with this course. One is the size. There were 98 students in this class. So there needed to be a combination of both group work as well as individual work in order to see not just what the groups were gaining from this activity, as well as what the individuals themselves were gaining from these activities. To kind of make it a little bit more interesting, we also did focus groups between the local Thai population, but also among some of the international students that we had. So we did have a few international students from Cambodia, China, and Myanmar. So we wanted to compare the kind of learning experiences they had with Sokol. So after the students pitched the product, they were asked to leave comments to help improve the kind of pitch videos that were posted by the students. Due to the limited time, we were not able to do this multiple times as was intended. So we tried to gain as much insight from this initial pilot test as well. So as we're kind of moving forward here, I'm just going to show you a couple demonstration videos. So the first video that I'm going to show you was basically the students focused on fast fashion and how much pollution there was. So they were trying to use this video to encourage people to not buy more clothes, but instead swap clothes. So this is just one example of a pitch video that was posted. So they did one initial video and posted it for feedback, which I'll share. So both students and instructors shared feedback on the videos. So this was not just a student talking. The students were also able to look at each other's videos and then think about how they were going to apply it to their own videos. So that's one example. Here's another example. This one covered infrastructure problems in Thailand and the lack of crosswalks, the broken streets. So this group tried to focus on this issue, describing the problem, but also presenting a solution was the key objective here.
We can't hear the sound, by the way. Ray, we can see the videos.
Sorry.
But it's good. It's good.
Oh, sorry. I was just showing the visuals, but yeah. So that was just, they were just talking through a kind of issue of infrastructure before they introduced their app. So the students were not just kind of doing a set pitch in which they put themselves in front of a camera and just introduce their app. A lot of the students tried to introduce creative elements, and this was due to the help of our TA who presented the activity. So we didn't just provide written instructions. Our TA provided an example video that was really helpful in terms of helping students think more kind of farther in terms of how they wanted to do these kind of videos. So we got quite a few good videos there, quite a few interesting ideas. So as you can see, many different problems were presented, many different kind of video techniques were utilized and experimented on. And all this was kind of commented by the students. So these are just an example of the comments. So a lot of the comments were supposed to be focused on pitching and providing more feedback to help the students, because the students did have a final presentation pitch in which they were to take all the elements from their video and then implement into the presentation, which actually only about 2 weeks after that. So the comments were one key element, and after all the comments were given, the instructors also provided feedback, which was kind of a key summary of the best comments that were given by the students, as well as a bit more feedback to help them improve on their pitches for their presentations. So we did collect focus group feedback from both Thai and English groups of students to just kind of see what they gained from the activity. So the students indicated that there was a kind of competitive element that kind of came out. They also mentioned that there was a lot of activity and that a lot of the students were surprised by how much creativity was shown by all the different students. There was a lot of surprise. Actually, feeling of surprise was a key element of kind of doing this activity, because a lot of them kind of viewed a pitch as just presenting a product, but they started to think more about, how do I really introduce people to my product and make them interested in wanting to invest and wanting to buy. So surprise was one key aspect that came out from the focus groups. Because of the limited rollout, we were not able to do 2 videos, so we were only limited to doing 1 video with the group, but a lot of the students said that if we had a chance, we would like to do another video. So there really is a power to not just doing the assignment once. I think this particularly shows that the iterative process that happens in the classroom can be really powerful in terms of not just helping students find out what they didn't do as well. So there are kind of a lot of strengths and weaknesses to each of the videos. But one of the students in particular highlighted that we'd like to have another chance to do another video to get more feedback and to improve and to just see if we've really kind of internalized the feedback in the correct and effective manner. And one more kind of talked about how all the members were really interested and invested in the process. So they noticed that there was a lot of interest and effort into making the videos. And they also mentioned that the engagement was much higher. So actually, this was just one project of 3. So they did 2 other projects before this. And the students also talked about higher engagement thanks to doing this kind of activity, which was not just present the project, get feedback from the instructor, done. It was present a initial prototype version of the presentation, get feedback from both the instructor as well as your peers, and then go back and improve kind of the video. So these were all some really interesting kind of insights. And I will just mention that this is just the first of, I would anticipate, many different projects I'll be doing with Sokol, because Sokol is very much something that can't be done just with one research. I think that there are just a lot of kind of unanswered questions, but a lot of unanswered interesting questions that Daniel and I will be looking forward to explore more, not just next semester, but in the future semesters. So Sokol is a really great tool for doing research, not just one project, but we already have, I think, Daniel can correct me if I'm wrong, we have 3 or 4 other research projects that we think we can build off of this initial qualitative study. So thank you very much for your time. Here's my contact information, and I look forward to hearing more questions from any of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. Does anyone have questions for Ray? I guess before we open up the questions, we do have, I mean, I spent a lot of time with Ray brainstorming on WhatsApp, chatting about how education or how the learning process, communication skills, creative thinking can be enhanced. We did try to do some comparatives, or rather some comparisons or correlations with the data in terms of the duration of views and stuff, but it's very hard to do in his example because the students are having big groups, big sizes, like 5 to 8 students. So it's very hard for us to kind of go, okay, just because the student watches more videos, it means that they have improved the final, I mean, from a comparison to the final video, because we have to take into considerations of how much time they chat with their friends, and whether they have, when they're talking to their friends and doing their discussions, they mention things like, oh, I saw this video before, maybe it will help in this. We have to catch those moments whereby they mention, oh, I saw this, and maybe you can try it out. We need to have those in the discussions that the students have by themselves, maybe in their line or in their WhatsApp group. So in the next one, what we will probably do is to have the students do their discussions in the MS Teams, so that we can pull out the right information about how they discuss within MS Teams and then correlate that together with the views. Or we can have somebody else monitoring the focus, their own Zoom discussions, and try and catch, did they make any mentions of videos from other people, and then we can try and correlate back to the final outcomes. So there are a few things that we are thinking of doing, but there's a lot of things that we can try and achieve to try and, because no one else has been able to build this kind of correlation even in research. So we think that this will be very, very powerful for that. Anyone has any questions for Ray? Ray, was that what you had in mind as well?
Yeah, and just on top of that, we're also thinking more of how do we assess the learning from these activities. So we've traditionally kind of focused mostly on testing procedures, but we're now looking more into looking at the whole process of learning. So sentiment analysis, content analysis, these are also things that we're starting to realize are really important in terms of bottling the kind of learning outcomes and better understanding that. So that is another thing we're looking into. Assessment is another key part and component that we'll be looking to develop further. So yeah, thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Ray. So our next speaker is Dr. Pia. Dr. Pia is an assistant professor, assistant dean for research, and assistant dean for international affairs in School of Global Studies in Thammasat University in Thailand as well. So she started to recently use SoCal for teaching global studies, and will be sharing what her plans and what her thoughts of using SoCal is. And Dr. Uma, if you would like to give Dr. Pia, her presenters, access. Dr. Pia.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for sharing just now. Associate Professor Dr. Pia, I've already passed you the presenter privileges. Are you able to share now? We can't hear you.
Oh, and I don't see the microphone on her account.
My mic is on. Can you guys?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay. The share screen isn't up really. I can't, it's not showing.
I've made you the presenter. Can you try?
Okay.
Are you on a Mac?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the Mac usually has this access thing to grant access for the.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have it. So either you pass me the slides on WhatsApp and I share it, or we have Wai-Sing go first and then you do the Mac. Which do you prefer?
Let me have someone else go first, and then let me try
Okay.
to
Sure.
open this thing. Okay.
Wai-Sing, are you there? Ong Wai-Sing.
Can you see Wai-Sing?
He said he was going to go to the toilet, but I just messaged him again on WhatsApp.
Okay, maybe I have a question for Dr. Ray. So Dr. Ray, you mentioned that your students were surprised and everything, but from your perspective, were you surprised with your students' creativity?
Yeah, actually, was actually surprised about that. I figured that they would just kind of do the pitch as just a recording, but I think that the reason why, and I'll emphasize this again, is because of the example video that my TA posted to me. Because actually, after reflecting on the whole process, I think that really what kind of made a difference was just how active my TA was and kind of proactively giving that example video. And I think that really helped kind of, in retrospect, really help the students kind of think more deeply and think more about how they wanted to present their video. So I think that providing an example is really important and powerful in this kind of process. Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel, do we have the next presenter? Is she able to troubleshoot?
Wai-Sing, are you there? Wai-Sing just messaged me on WhatsApp. Ong Wai-Sing. He says he's transferring to. Oh yeah. Do you have?
Okay. Yes, I can see him. Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Would you like to go? Can you go next?
Let me just
sure.
have the presenter. Yeah, just give me a minute.
Okay, let me introduce Wai-Sing. So Wai-Sing is a lecturer and course chair in Ngee Ann Polytechnic, Singapore, for biomedical engineering. So he has been one of the early pioneers in SMiLE in Singapore, and he'll be sharing how SMiLE is being used to demonstrate laboratory experiments and higher order thinking skills. So go ahead, Mr. Wai-Sing.
Okay, hi. Yeah, now I can share. Yep. Yep.
It's good.
Yep. Can everybody see? Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. I'm not sure because I think my Wi-Fi is a bit choppy here. So hi everyone. So I just want to I saw on the chat that some of our fellow friends are actually looking into implementing SMiLE in engineering. So I thought I share a bit of what I've done. Okay. So the first few slides, I'm going to show you what I'm doing for this semester. So there's two groups of year 2 students in diploma in biomedical engineering, a total of 48 students, and we have about 24 each in each group. And then I'll label them as their class name. So I actually did a kind of one activity whereby I actually use SMiLE and Google Docs, and the other group will be using Blackboard. So I'll just put a assignment on Blackboard, and then they will just do it. So the task that I actually shared with is actually to find some form of amplifiers which they can find in their lives, and then I told them you can have multiple submissions and all that. So this is what was the result. Okay, what I call hits and misses. Okay, so one of the students actually came up with she actually came up with the soundboards in pianos. Okay, it kind of like hit because soundboards in the piano actually amplifies certain bandwidth of the music. Okay, and the other students actually just took something that he is quite familiar with because he's doing another module in microcontrollers. So he just take this color sensor and then just say it's amplifiers. Okay, and the most interesting one in the SMiLE group is that these students actually did multiple submission. So the first one, she actually came up with the speaker one. So speaker uses power amplifier to amplify low power electronic audio signals to levels sufficient enough to drive the speakers. So that was what she came up with. Then after that, I think she looked around and then she came up with this Wi-Fi extender, what do you call it, examples that she can find, which you can see that she actually gave a bit more thought into it, in that sense, and then came up with another interesting examples of amplifiers in their daily life. Okay, so the same group, but what I call misses, which didn't quite hit the mark, is this dimmer, which you actually found to adjust the lightings, is actually not quite amplified. Okay, another one is AC, kind of correct, kind of not correct in that sense. So these are some of the examples that was actually found in SMiLEs. Okay, the SMiLE submissions. Then the other group, which is the Blackboard group, so I just put this task and they just either put Excel or PowerPoint or Microsoft Words. Majority of them actually use Microsoft Word, and then they just paste the picture and then write something and then just upload that Word file. And this is the results. So that when they talk about amplifiers, majority of them actually came up with the speakers. okay, examples. So we can see one of them here, and the other one is like the soundbar they have at home. Yep. And then there is also a Bluetooth speaker, which also amplifies the sounds that they have. Okay, so these are all the so-called the hits that I have. Okay, then the other one that was interestingly was she actually thought of the wireless earpiece that they have, which definitely has an amplifier inside to amplify the musics in the from the phone. Yeah. Okay, and then let's go on to the misses on the Blackboard version. Okay, so kind of like half correct also. She's using a microwave amplifiers. Okay, so kind of like half correct and half not correct in that sense. Not quite what I'm looking for. Okay, so these are the examples for this semester's work. So for last semester, I actually have another different topic, and we are looking at sensors in our lives. So it's more or less the same modules. Okay, so I asked the students to go and find all of the different sensors they can find. So in this picture, we can actually see he actually says using the sensors in the PlayStation 4 controllers. And very interestingly, one of the students actually made a video of how the touch sensor on the fridge door allows to measure to adjust the temperature in the fridge. And then water cooler, okay, also made a video. And IR sensors to detect the face. And the very interesting one, which I actually comment back, was the motion sensor on the double-decker bus in Singapore to check the number of people that is on the upper deck of the bus, which I commented back and in a very more casual way. So I told them wrong, and the mat is actually on top of the steps. Yeah. So these are very interesting finding that I actually asked them to go on using this particular one was actually using soccer purely. There's no so-called control group and soccer group, so to speak. And then last but not least, in terms of real actual implementation in engineering context, because I'm actually doing a lot on the waveforms and circuit trees and all that. So these are the results of the students' work. Okay, some of them actually make videos, so you can see on your left-hand side, or pictures, to show that they actually done the filtering or the amplification or whatnot. So on the right-hand side, you can see actually on the first block, you can actually see a simulation being done online. Okay, and then they can actually see the waveform also. And because of this COVID situation, so I have to split my laboratories into two parts. So one part is the simulation part, and then the one that's on the right hand side is actually the actual implementation in the labs that they have while they were still able to come to school. Yeah. So with that and my presentation of what I've actually done in terms of engineering and soccer. Yeah.
So, Wai Sing, you did a comparison between Blackboard and Soccer. So, was there a conclusion, or is something that is still in progress?
It's still in progress because I've not actually gathered the feedback from the students yet. But we can see that because what I assume was that this Blackboard one might be a bit tedious for the students in the sense they have to transfer the files and all that. If we have to do it on Blackboard, because they have to submit the Word file and then they have to copy the pictures from their phones or from the internet, and then put it in the Word file and then submit the Word file. So I am assuming, because I've not gathered the feedback from the students yet, I'm assuming they're going to say, teacher, this is too troublesome. Can we do something like an app or something like that?
The outcome will have to be, the outcome can potentially be based on the quality of the post that is done on Blackboard versus the quality of the post. Because the difference is that on SoCal, the students will watch the content from their peers and then they will post content. So you might potentially, that's why I think you will see some posts that you mentioned there on SoCal that whereby they're a bit more related to their daily lives, a bit more closer to them and around them. You might get a few more, you might get a few of those in Blackboard, but maybe lesser. But we need to look at, eventually you need to rate those pictures and see like maybe 90% of them or 80% of them is, is good quality on SoCal because they get references from their friends, while Blackboard, there's no way for them to get references from their friends. That's a comparison that we need to do.
Yes, that's and I think I have a question on the chat.
Yes. How do you highlight topics on doing experiment online?
For the soccer one was much easier because you can actually set the task. And I just casually reminded them, okay, there's a task on soccer, please just complete it. And for the Blackboard was a bit troublesome because it's the other class which I'm not teaching. I just placed it on the Blackboard, and I put it as an announcement, which some of them actually missed it the first time round. So they were asking, do I have to do this? I said yes. But that was way past the deadline already, so I extended the deadline. It's more of a engagement activity, so to speak. So it's not graded. It's more of like our experiment between me and Daniel. Yeah. And
Thank you.
for the tracking, somebody was asking about tracking on the what do you call it, soccer. Was actually quite easy. The moment they finish on the task, I should be able to filter them out. So those who didn't finish it or do it, I will after that. But for Blackboard, it's a bit in some sense also you can actually go to the grade center and see who actually does that. Yeah. So in terms of tracking, I think both are comparable. But in terms of ease of submission, I personally think that if we are doing like a picture or video kind of activity, I think soccer is definitely, in my opinion, is actually much easier.
Especially if you have more than 100 pictures.
Yeah.
There's one question about, and this might be for everybody. Did SoCal app attract students to keep on track?
I think it depends on how we actually how we actually manage the activity, because if you don't tell them to, and you've not actively asking them to do it, they, students being students, they will always just I think everyone knows what I'm referring to. If you don't say this is part of the assessment, they will not do it. I mean, majority of them.
We recently thanks for that. The task feature that Wai Sing mentioned just now. So when you create a task, we recently rolled out a new feature on that whereby by clicking, there's a feature on a task which allows the teacher to send a notification to the students for anyone who has not yet completed. So this is something that maybe the lecturers themselves don't know. So so there's a notification option whereby you click on notify. You will send a push notification to all students, a certain message that teacher will key in. So in this case, we wanted that as a way for the app to be chasing the students than to be seen as the teacher is chasing the students. Because students would like to receive a push notification, but they don't want to see a WhatsApp chat whereby the teacher is like, hey, hand your homework. So in this case, we think that the system chasing is more effective than a human chasing, because you can ignore a human, but you can't ignore an app sending you a notification.
Yes. Yes.
Could I ask you other questions? But I think we can. I can answer the questions after we invite the Dr. Pia back to share. Thanks, Wai-Sing. You can stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
So, Dr. Pia, are you back?
Yeah.
Can we try and hear? Yes.
Can you
Yes.
share screen? Just a second.
Yeah. I've passed you the presenter privileges, Dr. Pia.
Okay, give me a minute.
Thank you, Dr. Wai-Sing, just now, for your sharing just now.
Just a second.
So there's a question for actually Wai-Sing.
I think it's a
How do you-
generic, kind of a
Yeah.
generic question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ready to share? Yeah, cool. Okay, it's ready to share.
I'm trying to.
We can see your screen.
Yeah.
Dr. Pia. Yeah. It's all good.
I'm trying to make it
Full screen.
full screen. Just a second. Okay. Well, actually, well, thank you for inviting me. I don't really have much to share because I was just introduced to SoCal, so I haven't had a chance to use it. So I think I should take this opportunity actually to thank all the participants today for sharing your experiences and giving giving us some really useful ideas on how you've been using it in your respective disciplines. So it's been very enlightening for me. Because I'm a sociologist, so I teach at university for a very long time now. My God, let me see if I can move this just a second. So yes, I'm currently based at Thammasat at the School of Global Studies, which is a fairly new faculty, and I just joined them a year ago because I only recently came back to Thailand. And you can get me on LinkedIn, and I'm actually an ethnographer. So I'm a qualitative researcher, and I used to do, well, this was eons ago, a study on, women factory workers. So mostly my area of specialization has centered on globalization development, but mostly on women, and also later on migration, the environment, human rights, and gender class analyses. So that's kind of my background. It's kind of a traditional academic, and I've taught these courses. Well, this was well before any type of mobile learning was ever in place. And this is just to highlight the change shifting from kind of sociology and women's studies, gender studies, and globalization studies to the School of Global Studies, where they have asked me to teach in the technology minor for the faculty. So I've had to kind of start from scratch. So it's kind of really great that Daniel has introduced me to this incredibly versatile platform, it seems, to the school through one of our students, I think. So just very quickly, because I don't have any other information to share, the School of Global Studies is actually, we've offered a BA in GSSE, and the faculty actually focuses on student-centered learning. So there's a lot of interaction. Well, this is pre-COVID, so in the classroom, students have a lot of projects, group work and assignments, and a lot of that has changed because of the pandemic. And last year we had opened an MA in social innovation and sustainability, and of course this year we just got approval for a PhD program in social innovation and sustainability. So so I think that in a way SoCal can be used. I think more faculty members can actually use SoCal more creatively in their classrooms. I mean, it's a great way to integrate learning, and also for the online, actually online, Thammasat has announced that we're going to be online until the end of the year. So I think it's a good opportunity for more instructors to kind of get to know SoCal and try to integrate that somehow into their courses. I'm very traditional. So most of my courses, I've never touched on technology in this way because my classes are actually very writing intensive. It's rigorous in terms of research, and the students, even at the undergraduate level, are required to write a lot. And so the feedback from me has been they're submitting written assignments and I'm giving them feedback, right, through traditional means. So for me, the challenge would be how I would be able to integrate this kind of video, I guess, maybe create a new way of generating assignments for students so that they can have something. It would add more variety to the very traditional way that I've been giving students assignments. So because my courses are so writing intensive, I think, and that's actually been a complaint among students, I think this is an opportunity for me to think about how I can use, especially in the GSSE program, how we can use this platform to kind of, you know, to for students to generate some kind of assignment, right? But however, I do think it has a great impact on student engagement, and in a way, in the long run, I think it would have an impact, a positive impact on academic performance. Also, the students in my class this semester, well, I asked them at the last week of class to download the app and had them submit something. And actually, the app itself is very user-friendly. I'm not really good with technology, and I didn't find that much trouble in using it and in commenting and looking at student videos. So, you know, it's a learning process for me, but I think that it's really, I think all classes should kind of integrate this platform somehow into their courses. So thanks again.
Dr. Pierre,
Yes.
would you like to share how you got your class to download the app, or what kind of instruction? How did you give the instructions, and maybe what to look out for someone that is similarly quite new? How would you do? Yeah.
My class was very small, Daniel. I had no problem. I had 8 students.
How did you communicate to them?
Because everything was online. I just told one of the students to actually help to go and download the app, and then the link that you told me to create, they were able to do that immediately. The students needed no instruction from me, actually. And they were able to do the video, you know, within the few days that I asked them to. So it was really, you know, not a problem. I just said, go to this app and go into this tag. Is it called? The tag, that's it. And then from there, it was user friendly. It's like innate, you know, everything's organic in terms of technology. So I think it's not at all a problem. It could be used immediately.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, Dr. Pia. I mean, one of the goals was to invite you to kind of share a bit more about the process of a new lecturer, new professor trying to use out a new technology, and how was the instruction given, and anything to look out for.
Well, Daniel, it was between you and me. You had to tell me the process. You know, it was just you giving me instructions. So that's, I think, you know, faculty instructors who are actually don't, you know, not really technologically savvy. I think they would have this kind of one-on-one communication with you, which is fairly, you know, simple to go through, right? And if any questions, then, you know, I'd feed back to you on how to do this or how to do that. So I don't think it's a problem for anyone to.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay. So that is Dr. Pia's presentation. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts and goals and opportunities. So I'd like to take the chance to answer the 2 questions that I have on the chat. So number 1, how long does the data in soccer is it safe? Or is there forever at this point of time? But at the end of each semester, the lecturer will have to archive the last semester's information. So otherwise, you will see the videos on your phone forever. And then if you have a new class, it's very hard for the lecturer to manage. So we have a feature on the app that allows you to archive all information, and that all information will also be archived for the students. So when you click to archive it, the students also get removed if they are also using Soccer for the next round or for some other classes. How do we evaluate students' performance? Yes, so there is a feature on the web that allows the teacher to give feedback on the app. So there's two ways that the app can give feedback. One that is public and one that is private. So the public way of giving the feedback is just is a typical comments, right? So you give a comment on the post and everybody can see. So that will be a public feedback. And then there's a private feedback which the teacher has an option to give, whereby only the student can see that private feedback. So that will be done. That can be done on both the mobile as well as on the web. But it needs to be the owner of the tag, owner of the class that can give that can give this feedback. So, but the evaluation is still done by the teacher. There's no automation. There's no AI that can kind of go, okay, the pronunciation is not right. It's still up to the teacher to evaluate, and so there needs to be some form or a way for the teacher to manage the formative assessments, and manage time. So that's something that Suki and I will also kind of brainstorm about, because she has 250 videos. So how can she spend time to watch those videos? So we have some other ideas that we were thinking of. That's quite fancy, but we will have a way about it. We do have one lecturer from Institute of Technical Education, but he has some vaccination things that he needs to take care of today. So I do have a video that he presented before. So maybe Dr. Uma, would you like to give me screen sharing access? I hope that I can screen share and the sound comes out though.
Just give me a minute, yeah? Just a minute. Okay, so Daniel sharing. I'm sorry, I'm taking quite some time.
No worries. We are quite early, so if anyone else have any questions, feel free. I know that there is a question to Silky actually. How do you involve students with internet connection problems to engage
How do I
in
proceed the
soccer?
presenter?
I don't know whether there's a solution or not. If there's no solution, it's okay. Well, how do you?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Currently, at the moment, there will be no solutions for the internet problem. Yeah, but I try using soccer during the synchronizations, but yeah, due to the internet problem, so I have to do the asynchronizations. So I give the task to the students before the class or after the class. So during the next sessions meeting, online sessions, what we do is discuss anything that I want to point out, or I just leave the feedbacks or my comments through the comments groups or through the personal feedback. So basically, at the moment, yeah, and also give the times. If you have problems like let's say for example in Ashraf, right? In Ashraf case, he also has problem for the internet connection. So what he did with his student is he's using basically most of the pictures. So in terms of uploading the video, they use pictures. So basically, yeah. But some of my students manage to do it, even though it's way after the due date submission. So give time to the students because we know that we are facing the same problem. I believe so. So how do I solve it? Give time to the students.
Thank you, Silky. I think instead of me sharing a video, Dr. Uma, I'll answer. I think we can do the questions first, and if we have time, then we do that video. So I'd like to add on to Silky's answer. So we have Ashraf from Raoult Community College. So he has a similar issue where the internet connection in his location is just quite bad. So the problem was that the students are unable to upload the videos if they are more than like 50 megabytes. So the solution that we have is to do pictures or to do animation. So instead of the student speaking in front of the video, he could record, he could get an animation done on one of those free apps out there and then do a voiceover. And then in that case, the file format will be 5 megabytes. So we tried it out. So in that case, if the file is 5 megabytes, it's way much easier for the students to share. An alternative is actually not soccer. An alternative is to do another app, like for example, Clubhouse. So there might be a way for students to do the sharing on Clubhouse instead. And that is a perfect way because instead of video, like this video streaming, students can use audio chat, which is way less intensive for audio. Does soccer allow students to do pair work, group work? It's actually a bit more like just a way for like Instagram, just a way for the students to share and upload content. It's not really a way for collaboration. There's collaboration maybe for commenting and things like that. But it will have to be something that is more but as in right now it's kind of more individual. The students upload. It can be group work, but then we do want the students, like for example in Ray's example, whereby the students are doing group work, but we want a way for the students to demonstrate their individual contributions. So for Ray's class next, and we also want to include reflection. So instead of just having a group work, doing a summative assessment in the end, we want to do a formative way whereby the student can present his individual contributions on the video. Right, Ray? I mean, you just showed your video. Was there something they wanted to say?
Oh, yeah, just emphasizing that we're looking at exploring all types. So reflection is just one. But I think one of the key things is just really teasing out the individuals, what they're doing in these classes. Because I think that, yeah, the group work is great. The group outputs are really good in terms of presentation and showing the value. But really, I think all of us would agree with this. What the individual learners really get from doing these outputs is really important. So we'll be looking at a lot of different ways to tease out those individual outcomes as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So there was, I think, one question about is there a blue tick kind of feature? Not at the moment. It's actually right now more private. So nobody, you can't really even see other classes. You can't see anybody else. But we are doing we are at this point of time exploring a virtual exchange across countries. So like for example, Hong Kong and Thailand, and we have one professor in Spain. So in that case, we are trying to look at it as an integrated learning thing between the institutions. So in that case, I could have, for example, Thammasat University sharing a tag with Indonesian, so Adelina's class, and then they can exchange in a way content and also students. So in that case, then the teachers are having a way to share and see other teachers. So in the future, we can have the blue tick way, but right now it's more individual and it's only you and your class. Is there live interaction? No, it's purely a asynchronous app. So we don't do any synchronous, because if it's meant to be synchronous, you will just use Zoom or WebEx. And we don't want to compete with that because that would be another monster to fight with. So we just purely our homework. We are a homework app. We're asynchronous. You can look at it as we are a video blog, a way for you to do video blogging. Just that right now there's no real easy way for you to do video blogging in any other educational systems. Oh, Ashraf has mentioned
Ashraf,
something.
yeah.
You want to speak?
Yeah, Ashraf, would you want to speak? So Ashraf is one of our soccer pilot lecturers based in College Community Rao.
Hello.
Yeah, Ashraf, we can hear you.
Hi. Can you guys hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. First of all, I'd like to say I'm so sorry I couldn't join yesterday because I had some difficulties with internet connection. So I'm trying my best today to join. So I responded in the group. In the chat section, I said that due to internet connection problem, that I myself sometimes have to go through. I asked my students to post pictures instead of videos because it would require them less data. Yeah, and sometimes I give them more time to complete the task as well because, due to the internet connection problem. Yeah, that was what I faced while I was using the app in my lesson.
Thank you so much. Would you like to introduce yourself as well? Ashraf is
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashraf. I'm currently teaching in Rope Community College, and I'm actually still new. This is my second year of teaching, and I teach English. Yeah, it's really nice seeing everyone here.
Thank you. Ashraf is a mentor for Sokol, and he will be helping out on the focus groups over the next 2 days. Thank you, Ashraf. Is Julie on?
Yeah.
Hi. Would you like to say something and say hello to everybody here? You're also a mentor for the focus group. It would be lovely to hear from you and introduce yourself. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome on board, everybody. So the next 2 days is going to be full of fun. It's actually easy to maneuver the app. If you are very familiar with TikTok, then soccer is like, it's very easy. It's kacang, what we Malaysia call it. Okay, so we shall meet you guys tomorrow and day after tomorrow.
Dr. Uma, you wanted to say something? You're on mute.
Yeah, so Daniel, do you want to show the video by Tao? Yeah.
So Paitao is he's doing for vaccination. So I asked him to play.
Hi, fellow educators. Thank you for the opportunity for me to be here. Unfortunately, due to a vaccination exercise that's happening today, I'm on official duty. So I've prepared a video to share my students and my own experience with soccer with everyone. So thank you again, and hope to learn from each and every one of you here.
Is the sound okay? I can't make it any louder. Okay.
What have I done throughout the last 2 semesters with soccer. I think this is probably the second time or the second class that I use soccer with. I'm teaching in the Department of Chemical Process Technology in the Institute of Technical Education in Singapore. So what we do is we train, we pretty much like what Weising does. We train students in STEM discipline. So on my side, I use it on this module that I teach, which is called pharmaceutical and biologics processes. So my students typically go through a lot of practical and theory lessons. So we have a 50-50% or maybe 60-40 split, which is more practical than theory lessons in school. So what happens here is I'm trying to see if I could piece together using the app, the theory component and the practical component that my student experience. So because in our practical classes, typically we do a lot of hands-on, and then we work on machines and things like that. And then in theory lessons, we try and cover the background concepts in a broader view of the topics that we are teaching. So because of the nature that we structure it, sometimes we find that students might find it a little bit difficult to piece the two together, because what we are doing sometimes is difficult to relate behind. So a large part of what I did is I try to get students to relate them together and maybe get them to relate what they learn in the theory classes with what they have in real life, and maybe what they do in their practical classes. So yeah, this is just quickly a list of things that I attempted over the last I think a year. Yeah, so first in practical classes, I try to do get students to do some demonstrations and video instructions of the work that they do. In theory teaching, I tend to use it a little bit more. I get students to post up things, or I post up certain things to elicit some comments from them. Hopefully, as a starter for every lesson, to get them to recollect what they did in their practical lessons, or what they did in the previous classes before we kickstart the next one. I tried a lot on getting the students to recontextualize what they learned previously as an after lesson assignment. So I also noticed that some of my students, they tend to like to engage after lesson hours. So for some reason, students being students, during lesson not so interested, but after lesson somehow they become a bit more interested. Well, thanks Weising. I think I have somebody that agree with me. So for me, I think it is a pretty useful as an after office hour kind of thing to get them to pull them back once in a while to tickle the brain a little bit after classes. So then of course through the app, we also try and as part of the holistic education system, we try to get students to showcase a little bit of talent if they have in trying to present some of the facts. In the school, because we are a science school, and yeah, a lot of things tend to be a little bit dry. Students, we do have students that are very good in other aspects. So by using the app, we find that yeah, probably we can get them to showcase some of these things, and if we can discover them and probably develop that part of their talent. So I also tried to use it as a tool for revision. I post up questions and then we get them to share, pretty much like a nicer version of a discussion board. I think it's more modern. Students probably are more receptive, and I think the ability for the app to do instantaneous replies and things like that, I think helps a lot to keep the momentum of learning. So maybe just let me share a few screenshots that I did of the post. So yeah, so on the top left-hand corner and the tool on the top, this is my attempt to get the students to recontextualize. I was teaching a topic on filtration, so I was just trying to get them to see what they can find in real life on filtration and see if they can relate what was taught, the basic concepts of filtration and the daily life, what they can see. So so the very top one is interesting. From the app, actually, I found that, oh, okay, I have a student who is very much into 80s and 90s music culture. So if, yeah, guys like me in the 80s and 90s will probably recognize that image, for Freddie Mercury and things like that. So interesting. Yeah, on the bottom left-hand corner, I get students to document some of the problems that they have, or some of the blunders that they did during practical lessons. So what happened was the lab was flooded because a student forgot to turn off a pump. So we end up flooded the lab, and then yeah, of course, I got some student to take to video it down. So as a reminder to make sure that other students see and then get themselves reminded that, okay, please, before you do certain things, you got to switch off certain things and take some precautions if not, things may happen. And then on the bottom, in the center, this is my attempt to make revision questions a little bit more interesting. I made it into like a little poll so my students can key in their replies on the comments. So at the same time, other students can look at what their peers have replied and maybe draw some inspiration from there. A good opportunity for me to look at any misconceptions as well. Then on the right hand side, it's just a little post that I put up to remind them to remember to bring their calculator to the exam. Yeah. So okay, so basically for me, my feedback, I think soccer is a fresh way to engage with the learners. I think the existing systems are rather boring, are rather stale. I think everything's black, white, or gray, or maybe brown sometimes. So yeah, so probably it's a different way. It's fresher. It's something familiar to the students. So yeah, like I mentioned, opportunity for me to discover some talents that my students have out of office too. I do see some misconceptions from students quite easily. I think it's the nature of how the information or how the threads are organized. It's easy for me to scroll through. I think it's an interesting blend of instant messaging and discussion forum. I think we don't want too much of both. I think a lot of us communicate with our students with instant messaging like WhatsApp and things like that. So I think sometimes our messages tend to get flushed quite easily. They sometimes tend to miss things quite easily. And discussion forum, I think, is a little bit too boring. Some students want to go in and see, and yeah, you tend to have to write things nicely. So I think a lot of students don't like it. So I think this is an interesting blend in between. Yeah, and then of course it's rather easy for me to track student activity because I can filter them in the web version. I can filter student activities and things like that. So, and then yeah, some of the negative things, I wouldn't say negative, but some difficulties that I face. Apparently it's a little bit closer to TikTok, so I'm not familiar with TikTok, so it took a little bit of time to get used to it, and then a slight learning curve for some users that I find. So next, of course, I talked to some of the students. I think me and Daniel, and also I think Uma. I think some of us talked to some students to get some feedback on this. I think two interesting things emerged that is quite intriguing for me. I think peer-to-peer assessment is something that I realized. The students tend to learn from each other a little bit more. They in fact even try to access and see if the students got it right or wrong, and probably impacted them and led them to a route of trying to reflect on what they learned, which is probably ideal because in the meantime, while we're doing the base, although our theory is easy, but I think good in a way that it can probably trigger or facilitate a little bit of higher order thinking. And I think the next one that is surprising is competitiveness. I think by looking at their friends' posts, I think some of them tend to get a little bit competitive and want to do a little bit better. I think that is a lot to, that is probably quite motivating in terms of their interest and their interest to learn from the topic. So yeah, in general, this is some of the feedbacks that I got. Yeah, students like to see their friends what they learn and things like that, especially when I have one class and then I split into two groups. So the first group will want to see the videos of the second group because they want to see what they learn in particular class. So sometimes the opposite happens. Then of course, the last minute revision, it's fast. When I post something, they get a notification. So I think it's fast, especially when I have last minute points that I want them to know before for exam. We can use that to push that information to them before they go, like a last minute thing. Yeah, it's rather easy to adapt. I think it's the interface is good. I think sometimes it's good to do fun videos as well. I think quite a good platform for it. Students become competitive, different understanding on topics after they see each other's posts. And then the last one, I think some students see it as a virtual note, like a virtual notepad that they let somebody have fill up for them. Yeah. Right. So yeah, so this is what I have. Thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you so much. That was Bai Tao from ITE Singapore. I actually thought that it was going to be 11:30, so I guess we overcrossed quite a bit. So anyone else have any questions we would like to? Oh, actually, you know what? We wanted to let Shasha introduce herself and say hi. Shasha, are you there?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hi everyone. Good. Still, I think morning. Yeah. Good morning. I'm Shasha Christina from KK Kotlana. So I've been using Sokal for my communicative English subject. So from what I can share after using it, like I have like two major points that I want to share with everyone here. One is like it's convenient to give feedback. So for me, I sometimes I have quite a lot of classes and subjects. So I need to find some time like to give feedback. But with soccer, I find it like easier because it's convenient. It's just on my phone and I can give it like the comments straight away if I can, and I have like to find time in between, so I don't need to open up my laptop or PC just to give like feedback, and the students have to wait for quite a long time. But with soccer, I can do it like in 5 minutes, like give 5 minutes, give feedback to a few students. So that is one of the advantages of I like about soccer. And the second one, like for the videos, I've given the autonomy to students to be creative. Like for example, one of the videos for my students, he acted like he did a role, kind of like the short role play of going to an interview. So he kind of wear like an attire like for a nerd boy going to interview. So it is very creative, and I allow them to be creative as possible so that they could like discover the reality of life and how it is actually. So the video can be interesting, can be, and they can, I also allow them to put like a background music, like just a slow like a very smooth one, or just not like a very hype one, but just to give the videos like more effect, right? So I think Sokal is a very good app for them to like explore this kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Shasha. All right. So I think that's pretty much we have gone through every speaker, every sharer. If you guys want to use Soccer and want to be a part of the focus groups and listen and join sharings and stuff like that, and if you have not yet put your email on the chat, feel free to put your email into the chat so that I can send you some information, and also Dr. Uma and I, we can track and make sure that everyone is well taken care of. I guess that's the angle where we're trying to go with, and then potentially we can group lecturers together. Yeah.
Just now, I think Bai Tao's presentation slides actually summed up, the potential use of soccer and also what the key challenges and how easy it is to use. Okay. So in the interest of time, it's already 11:05. I just would like to thank everyone, each and every speaker, for your sharing session, because I'm pretty sure that this has inspired the rest of us who are the participants here. I also would kindly, I hope you all will be able to answer the survey form, which is at the, at the end of every session, so that, I'll have a better idea of what you think. Please, share with us your key takeaway from from the sessions. Also, I actually just created a simple word wall just now. See whether y'all were actually paying attention or not. So if we have time, I just want to see were y'all able to match the presenters and the respective content. Can you see the Daniel, can you just share the screen? Just a fun element. I just want to see. Yeah. All right. So let's see if you guys can actually answer it. Then why don't you try? Okay. Okay. Dan, I think you know all the answers. All right. Damia, I got 7 correct. Okay. Just want to check whether y'all were paying attention to the presentations or not. Let's close the door. Okay. All right. So tomorrow, tomorrow we will be starting at 9 again, and Daniel will be giving his hands-on session on soccer. So for those of you who have stayed for today's webinar sessions, congratulations, Atika, she got all correct. Okay, very good. That means you all really paid attention. So Daniel, you'll be sharing your hands-on soccer session. So who are you targeting? Everyone, right? I mean, those who are interested to try out, yes, they can try. Yeah. And after that, we are having a special session where we will be having the idea generation for activities for workplace English and communicative English. So I hope those participants will be, those what do you call the SMiLe participants actually took notes and have ideas of what tasks and activities you can actually design for every lesson. All right, over to you, Daniel. Anyone wants to, can we just go around? Any presenters, any advice for Malaysians who are going to try out soccer for the first time? Yeah.
Ada lagi satu.
Can we, is Kelly still in? Kelly, can we just do
Nope.
around? Yeah, is Kelly still in?
Kelly left already.
Kelly left. All right.
Ray is on.
Okay. Yeah, Ray, maybe just a quick advice just before we wrap up. To new soccer users, to potential lecturers, they're going to use it for communicative English and workplace English. Yeah. So what would your best top 3 tips be?
Very much look at Sokol as in kind of prototyping iterative process. Don't kind of settle with one framework for trying to assess the learning. Always kind of reevaluate what students have really taken from it and just experiment. So should be fun and insightful. So no stress, just always look at either success and failure as kind of a great way of learning how to improve your teaching. So low stress and experiment. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you for those great tips. Okay, who else do we have? Any other speakers?
We have Wai Sing.
Yeah.
Wai Sing, want to say hello?
Yeah, Wai Sing, just top 3 tips.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
I think start small if possible, because I understand some of our friends here maybe have 100 or 200. Maybe you want to start with one class first, and then the class that you're teaching personally, and then start small first. Then maybe you can slowly to ramp it up to bigger cohorts and all that. Yeah.
Great. Aderina?
Yes.
Would you like to share a few tips for a new lecturer who wants to try out soccer? How would you advise or recommend?
I would recommend don't give up and always learn from what you have done. Because it takes me a long time to really master how to use it.
Great. Thank you so much for the tips. Suki.
All right. Okay. Yeah, like Adele, I do agree with her. Try it first. Try it first and try to adapt to your syllabus. That's it.
Sounds good. Do we have anyone else that has who has used soccer for quite a bit? I think that's pretty much all. Paulina and Gary is not here anymore, so I think we are pretty much okay. Dr. Umar, back to you.
So I just want to say thank you, everyone. Please fill up the feedback form before you leave. Yeah, I'm glad we finished on time, 11:30. I think that's all the time we have.
So
yeah.
I'm leaving my email on the chat. Anyone has any questions that is not yet answered or wants to reach out to me or anything, is dan@sockle, SOQQLE.com. I'm not Soggle, it's Sockle, SOQQLE. If you send to Soggle, you'll get somebody else, so which is also okay. But yes, again, the email is on the chat.
Okay. All right, Daniel, can you just take a group picture of everyone who's present at today? Are you able to do that?
Me, yeah. I'll need everyone to turn on your camera for anyone who wants to be, for those who want to be a part of this. I would like to have at least one full screen, so I need at least another 10 more people to turn on their cameras. Come on, guys, show your face. Say hello.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this session and it's an inspiring session, really, from me. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dan, for to organize and liaise with everyone. All right, smile.
5,
Smile.
4. Actually, you know, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to share. I'm going to take a picture now. Smile. Great. Everybody,
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
have a good day. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Shuki. Thanks, Kak Siti Rohaniza. Thanks, Dr. Pia. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So our team, we will meet after Daniel finishes his focus group at 3. Is it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Bye. Good job, Dan.
See you all. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Uma. Thanks, Uma. See you later.
Yeah, see
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.